From surgically modified bodies to becoming a millionaire in a day business, do we even know what's real anymore? Every day we are faced with the next best thing when we're just trying to become healthier, wealthier, and happy. What the fuck is real? What the fuck is true? What the fuck are you supposed to believe about yourself and your success while trying to build something that actually lasts? Welcome to What the Fuck is Beauty Anyway, the podcast. I am your host, Jenn Carrasco, founder of Raga Studio, a fitness champion, IFBB pro figure competitor, a skincare line creator, and a serial entrepreneur. Well, and I'm an overall business coach. After years of building businesses from the ground up, I am here to help you with society standards and, well, to use your beauty within to build something that is truly you and truly impactful. So now let's dive in. Hey guys, it's Jenn Carrasco here with WTF is Beauty Anyway. And we are doing some amazing podcasts and having some amazing people on the podcast. And we're going to talk about a whole lot of different shit. So I really want to reiterate to please like, review, post, share. I'm actually going to start giving some giveaways. So when people reshare, I will repost it to my social media. But I'm actually going to start doing some giveaways on top of that. But I am extremely excited today to have an amazing friend. And she is actually one of my Apex sisters. But it's not necessarily just a friend. She is an amazing, amazing human being. And her name is Sarah Vincent. So say hi.
Hi.
And before we start on everything, where can people find you on social media?
So my Instagram handle is Sarah J-O Soul Purpose SOUL. And then on Facebook, I'm more active on there and it's just Sarah Vincent. And then I have groups, go ahead and friend me and I'll contact you on the back end. And then if you want to get into I have a parenting group and a alliance group for women that are struggling with addiction. So
nice.
Love to connect, reach out.
So let's talk about that. Do you mind talking about addiction? Okay. So you just posted something on Facebook it was yesterday, correct? Or the day before?
I post every day. So
okay. So it was an anniversary for you.
Yes, that was on the 21st of April.
Okay. Yes. So I don't know why I just saw it, but
it's okay.
So
the algorithm.
Yeah, probably. So let's talk about it. What explain to everybody.
So April 21st of this year is my 31-year clean date. So I've been clean and sober, a massive cocaine addiction from 14 to 21. And in that time, obviously there's a lot of things that led up to it. But one of the biggest things for me on this anniversary this year, and again, I've been clean and sober a long time, but what a lot of us do, whether you're in recovery or not, I think as women, especially, we put our head down and we just do it. You just do it. You do the work. You're supposed to be a mom and you're supposed to work and you're supposed to have the 2.5 kids and the dog, blah, 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 all this other bullshit that society supposedly says you're supposed to do, be the beauty standards, wear this, whatever. And we don't ever take a minute to go, holy crap, look what I've done. Look what I've overcome. Mm-hmm. And very few people I know, from the kids that I work with to the families I work with, literally when I say, okay, name 3 good things about you, they can't do it. They literally are incapable of doing it. And for me, this year was the first year that I can literally recall that I actually took time to reflect on what I have accomplished and where I'm at. I dressed up. I got on a cute dress. I went and did a little mini photo shoot by myself. I took my dog to the dog park. I showed up for me. And I was like, holy crap, you're a drug and alcohol counselor. You're a, certified recovery mentor. You founded your own nonprofit. I'm like, holy crap. I mean, I weathered an extremely difficult toxic. I came like two amazing kids. And, like, I really just sat there and was like, and it wasn't a pat on the back. It wasn't a pride thing. For me, my faith is a huge part of my life. It was like, you're making a difference. Like, because of what I went through, you always hear that your mess is your message. And it's true. Like, I wouldn't be who I am today to impart the words and what I do or share my story or be as raw had I not gone through that shit. At the end of the day, none of us are alone. We're not on an island. Like, so many people have been through way worse than I have. And a lot of my journey with my ex-husband and those struggles and things, I thought I was alone. I thought that I had no support, and it was fucking terrifying space to be in. And out of that, millions of women are going through these things. Men are struggling with things, and that's even less spoken about. So it was a really impetus day. 31 years is a long time to be clean and sober. And I've never relapsed. And that is the other thing that I took a step back, because for years, to be very honest, Jen, I felt guilty because 99% of people I've met in recovery have relapsed at some time. That's their journey. There's no guilt, shame. There's nothing around that. It just is. It wasn't part of my journey, but I thought it should have been. And so, like, I literally felt this guilt and shame about, I've never relapsed, but that's just my journey. And so really embracing, dude, you did it. Like, holy shit, you did this. And look where you're at. It was a beautiful day for me. And at 52, it's about damn time I go, hey, look what you've done.
But it's true. And I'm glad that you said that, because it's not even for men or women, but there's a lot of times we do the work, we do the things, we keep pushing and we keep pushing, but we don't actually sit down. It's almost like our brain is telling us these negative thoughts, right? Well, you haven't achieved this yet. You haven't done this yet. You haven't pushed yourself that. And I've been reading this book. I don't know if you've read it. It's called The Untethered Soul. No. And it talks about that brain talk, right? I call it mind fucking. And,
100%.
And it's almost like, would you let your best friend speak to you like that, or your significant other speak to you that way? You wouldn't, right? So why do you do it to yourself? And it's a great realization. And so we tend to do that to ourselves because we think we should be at a level that somebody else is at, right?
Yep.
And it should be our level. It's our life. It's our journey. And to sit back and just say, fuck, I've achieved a lot. Do you know what I mean? People don't do that. And it's huge. That's huge in your growth. It's not
comfortable.
It's not.
It is, because it's not comfortable to give yourself accolades. And most of us, men, women, I mean, how many, you see a ton of men that we're surrounded by that are hustle, grind. Do you see them come up to breathe? Most of us, it takes that minute. When you come up to breathe, that means you got to look at your shit. It means that you have to actually potentially do something maybe different. Maybe there's some things missing, et cetera, et cetera. And to be able just to go, it's very uncomfortable. Whenever I've gotten an award, like I used to show horses competitively, I would cry. Like, I literally cry if I am given an accolade in like, it is a physical response that my body has from being praised. Mm-hmm. Where our trauma, I don't know if you've read The Body Keeps Score.
No, I haven't.
It's the most powerful book. It is the most powerful book. But that one and The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, very beautiful, poignant books about how we are both dark and light. And until we can embrace our bad, we've done bad stuff. We've all lied. I mean, maybe even, whatever, but it's part of who we are. And until we can embrace that, we can't step into who we are full light. And so it's this beautiful book about owning that and being okay with it. It's just part of your journey. Yeah. There's no identity, but it's just part. So that one, then The Body Keeps Score, is all about how I'm just like you said, because of the population I work with, I'm like, I need to know how their brains work. So I'm big into neuroscience and epigenetics. I'm like, oh my God, I could geek out on that all day long. But learning that our body literally physiologically wears our trauma. So even if you've been out of abuse for years, you could walk into that courthouse or into that house, smell something, and all of a sudden your body is trembling, your stomach hurts. Mm-hmm. We literally wear our trauma. Mm-hmm. And so no wonder we're constantly in fight or flight. No wonder we're constantly living in the state of forces of cortisol. And if we're in those same spaces, And the other thing is that I really try to impart is one of the things that I really talk about is identity, because people hang on to these old identities.
Yeah.
They're the victim, or they're obese, or they're like they wear these like that's who they are.
Yeah.
And they're comfortably miserable and they'll stay there because it's safe, as opposed to moving into hope and moving into something else. And so being able to, most of our past, not most, all of our past identities were not created by us.
Yeah.
Our families, or whoever way we were raised, our subconscious is everything you learn from the age 1 to 7. Yeah. So when I work with the kids or families, I say, okay, just shut your eyes. Without re-traumatizing, I say, okay, what did you learn? Were your parents there? Did you grow up in abuse? Who raised you? Was there yelling? Did you have money? Like all of those narratives, I'm like, okay, now open your eyes. Okay, that's your subconscious. That's what you've been running on since you were 7.
Yeah.
Now you have a choice to change. Yeah. So it gives kids the permission to go, oh shit, like I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for that. And understand, if we understand where it comes from, we can change it. But, like you said, it's so easy just to go, I'm going to work, I'm going to work, I'm going to work, I'm going to work, I'm going to hustle, I'm going to be a parent, I'm going to be, make this my identity or this my identity, and never go, is this even the life I want?
Yep.
Ed, was it Ed? I can't remember who it was, but they said, are you living the life that you would want your kids to live? Holy shit, that has stuck with me like every day. I'm like, am I living the life, like, would I want my kids to have my life? Like, that's a really powerful thing.
That's a huge, powerful thing.
Yeah. It was pretty eye-opening when I thought about it.
Yeah. But I resonate with you because I lived in that, right? I lived in that with my ex, the fact that I worked my ass off, like literally 7 days a week. I worked my ass off. Then I went and trained to get my pro card. I competed. I did this. It was just, I was busy hustling. And people will look at me now and say I do the same thing, but I really don't. People don't understand. Like, I actually wake up and I have my me time in the morning. I do a lot of things to actually make Jenn balanced, right? And I mean, I'm busy and I'm doing stuff, but when I get that anxiety, I back up and say, okay, listen, why am I doing this? What is resonating with me? What is going on internally? And is this truly what makes Jenn happy? And I think a lot of people don't understand that. And they're just in the busy mode because they don't want to deal with their own shit. They don't want to deal with who they are as a person, right? Yeah.
They don't. And one of the things about you that really has drawn me to you is you have this incredible sense of peace about you. You are just, to me, you're very much a radiant light. Like, you have this peace and this calmness that is just, you just feel it. Like, being around you grounds me because of who you are. And the thing is, it's like a badge of honor. Oh, I'm busy. Oh, I'm hustling. Bullshit. Are you really busy? What is busy to me is when I accidentally go down the TikTok rabbit hole for an hour. That's why I had to delete that fucking app. But anyway, I digress. That's busy. It's not productive. Those are two very, very different things.
That's actually a great way to say it. I'm productive. I'm sorry.
You are. You're not busy, because everybody's busy. There's a person on this planet you're busy doing nothing, or you're busy doing, like, we're all busy. Even if you're sitting your ass on the couch all day, you're busy. You don't have time for anything else. So are you productive? Like, that is when, that concept, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not productive. Literally, the 6 hours I work, I get maybe an hour and a half worth of work actually done. Yeah. So let's look at that. But it's this badge of honor. And like you said, it's avoidance. It's an absolute avoidance skill. But what I really want to focus on is changing the narrative of labels and words and verbiage, because we put these, I talked to a woman this morning and she helps women navigate divorce with elegance, with grace, stepping into their power. And what I said was, we have this stigma around divorce, but the truth is we're divorcing our old identity. We're divorcing a toxic situation potentially. We're divorcing, if you can look at it that way, that gives you hope in a future. Yeah. But we're like, divorce, the first thing is like, oh, I'm a failure. Yeah. Oh, I'm a failure. Especially if it's a second or third divorce, I'm a failure. No, you're divorcing this old identity and this toxic whatever it is and stepping into who you're supposed to be. And I just, labels are so constricting, to women. And, you did competitions. I love that. What'd you do, by the way?
I'm a pro figure competitor. I'm an
You
IFBB.
are? Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God. So obviously, you know Amanda Lantona.
Oh, yeah.
I did bikini and figure for 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I never went pro.
I'm contemplating doing their show in August, but they've gotten rid of a lot of bikini, or I'm sorry, figure. So I think I'm going to have to back down to bikini. I just don't know if I have a big enough ass to do bikini. So,
oh yeah. If the divisions have changed so much, and you know, I love that you've done that, because all of us in that space have had some sort of trauma around food or body image, something that made us get there. You know, for me, my first show, so I did a bodybuilding show in college, but I struggled with obesity when I was a kid, when I was young, and I struggled with bulimia. My mom actually put me in Weight Watchers at 12, which God bless both my parents are gone. I don't blame her, but I wasn't even fat. It was just not the image that she thought I should be. Yeah. And that led to a lifelong, basically, loathing of my body and using it just to get attention, or I thought all my value was from my body. You know, I was abused at a very young age, and then I was raped when I was young. Again, things that I never dealt with, but my body was my enemy. And so then I proceeded to become obese in high school, and then a girl was bulimic. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. So I did that for you, just the constant abusing of my body. And, you know, in the years, I have a great relationship with food finally. Like, it's a beautiful place for me to be. You know, I'm 52. It's a lot of work. It's a daily, because it all starts here. My thoughts around food are what had to change. But in my 40s, with the work I do with the youth, I'm like, I want to show that you can overcome anything. So for me, I'm a control freak. I'm like, let's see if I can get on stage. Let's just see if I can do it. So at 52, I did figure. And then I had a bunch of injuries, so I took a year off. And then 2014 was my last show. I did 2 bikini competitions. And I'm like, I did it. Like at 44, you know, I'm like, those are those things that you don't give you, like, you just kind of threw that in. Do you know 81% of people in this world will ever be able to get into the kind of shape that we did to get on a stage and be that vulnerable? Like, that in and of itself is this huge thing that you gloss over, I gloss over, but most people will never get there. Ever. And I did it, and I did well. I didn't win, and I'm not pro, but, you know, and I thought about getting back on stage again, but I'm like, it'll destroy my body. It'll destroy me up here. It damn near destroyed me up here when I did because they don't prepare you for the after. And I'm like, no, I'm actually doing a Spartan this year. I want to push myself, but in a different way. Good. You know, so, but those, that's what we're talking about, is that, you know, there's so much labeling around women, what we should be, what we shouldn't be. You know, should you be a powerhouse CEO, or should you just be like, still in 2021, we're having these discussions, you know, can you just be a mom? Should you be working? Blah, all this bullshit. And we just put labels. And I have such a hard time with that, especially in the industry I'm in, because they're at-risk youth, you know, at-risk youth facilities, they're alternative schools, transitional housing, all of that connotates less than. All of it connotates, oh, you couldn't make it somewhere else. You know, I fucking hate that. Like,
I love that you brought that up. I love it, because everything needs to change, right? It's like, you know, winning the war on drugs. Well, it's just going to inhibit drugs more, because we're like, you know, promoting it instead of making an end to it.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
And you just nailed it. Like, we're constantly looking, even with COVID, we're looking at putting a Band-Aid on the outcome, as opposed to looking at, well, how the fuck did we get this sick in the first place? You know, the biggest indicators of COVID is being obese, because it's inflammatory. And so why don't we look at the health issue in this country?
Why aren't we shutting down, I mean, like, all the crappy food businesses that are out?
No, let's leave McDonald's, the dispensaries, and all the liquor stores open. But God forbid you try to work out. So, you know, it's just, and the thing is that we're grown up in that. One of my big missions is to end generational addiction and poverty. That's a huge goal, but I will settle for nothing less, because if I do, I'm not living up to God's plan and purpose for my life. And even if I get a quarter of the way there, fuck yeah, you know what? I've made a difference. I've helped generations change the narrative for them. You know, I mean, that's what we're stuck in these old dialogues and these old rehab, this just the way that things are addressed. And even AA and NA, they've helped millions. I'm not knocking the programs. They did not work for me. It's not how to stay clean and sober. It wasn't, I went to every A there was, OA, AA, like every A. And it didn't work for me. and now what I'm seeing is when I go in the rooms, like if I take kids into the rooms or something here, there's a lot of war storing, and there's a lot of people in their 30s and 40s basically saying they've been clean, but life sucks. And I'm like, I don't want this kid to hear that. And a lot of the focus is what you've done wrong. You need to go back to your past, look at who you've wronged, correct your wrongs, admit your failures. I understand that. But as an addict, we're already feel like shit about ourselves. Yeah. And telling me I'm going to heal by focusing on all my negative shit, to get to the root and truly heal. And I know it has helped millions. So I'm not negating that. I'm saying for me, that talk, like we need to come from a place of hope. And okay, no, I never address the drugs or alcohol. I never address, if you're obese, that it's not the food. It's not the Coke or the booze or anything else or the porn or gambling. It's not.
That's why I created, I don't know if you know, but I have the metabolism program that I do, and it's a 6-week program. And it's not about, it goes over food and diet and things like that, but it's not a diet plan. It's not about your food. It's actually me talking to you about, okay, so you want to go eat ice cream and you want to go eat pizza and you want to go do these things. How are you feeling right now? What is the reason why we're doing that? It's because when we were younger, when we had a bad day, our mom would say, hey, let me give you some ice cream and make it all better, right? That's our comfort food. So start looking back at why we're doing these things.
Yes.
And that's where it all comes out to be. And a lot of people can't understand that. They just think, oh, I need to be a calorie deficit. I need to do this. I need to do that. No, you need to relook at how you're looking at food.
You just solved the whole problem, because if we can't look at our relationship with food, I had a coach here in Oregon who was pivotal in my journey. I had to write a letter to my 17-year-old self. I had to address my relationship with food, my relationship with money, and writing those things down. I say that I work on being holistically fit, because you have to be financially fit, spiritually fit, physically fit, mentally fit. Like there is no balance. I think balance is a misnomer, because we're going to be heavy in, our family one day, and we're going to have to go work 12 hours the next. So to me, it's exactly what you do. It's you get up, you have your structure, you stay grounded. And so then when those situations come, you're able to navigate them with that self-talk. Like, okay, is this serving me? And that was one of the biggest things for me around food was, okay, the woman that I want to be, would they do this? Would the lean, fit woman, I don't want to be skinny. I've never wanted to be skinny. I'm athletic. So I look athletic. I want to be athletic. Would the woman that I am stepping into do that? No. And how do I feel after I eat this? Not before. And I'm like, I feel like shit. And literally there's things I can't eat. Like, why am I still abusing my body?
Yeah.
It's abuse, self-abuse.
So I tell my clients this, and maybe you can utilize this. Maybe it will help you. So we think of balance, right? Everybody's like, well, I want my life balanced. Okay. Well, question for you. If you're on a teeter-totter, do you want to stay like that all the time? Or do you like to go back and forth? Right?
Yeah. I love that.
Give it to me.
Yeah.
I want to go back and forth, because being balanced all the time would be fucking boring.
Totally. I love that analogy. You know what it is? It's comfortable.
Yeah.
People are so complacent because I heard this, and people are comfortably miserable.
Yes.
Ed talks about being blissfully dissatisfied. So I'm like, okay, are you comfortably miserable?
Yeah. It's the same in marriage. It's the same in other things. You're comfortable being with that person. Okay, well, guess what? I want to come home and I want to be with somebody that, excuse my language, I want to fuck their brains out.
And fuck yeah. Life is
I don't want to come home and be like, oh, I'm going to bed. Don't touch me.
Don't touch me. Yes, exactly. But that is so true. And, like you said, though, it all goes back, honestly, to the way we're raised and this message that we got. My parents didn't touch each other. My dad would try to hold my mom's hand, and she was just this frigid. I don't even know how she had kids. I'm not going to lie. But God bless both my parents. I love my parents. But again, that was a generation. For context, my dad was in World War II.
Yeah.
So I was raised with very older parents. There was generation. You drank at 5 o'clock. She smoked cigarettes, very formal, and I'm so grateful for the way I was raised. When I was a kid, I fucking hated it. But as an adult, it got me through a very toxic divorce where I had to be in court all the time. I have manners. I'm very well spoken. I have I can present myself well, and that's because of what I was taught in my home. I was taught thank yous. I was taught Mr. and Ms. I was taught you hold the damn door open. I am grateful. And I feel like this country in general has lost those values.
Yes.
It's so big on fucking participation trophies. And let's just pat people. That is not preparing anybody for the real world, first of all.
No.
And, you know, we want to shelter our kids. So many, and I had kids older, but I was never the mom that's like, oh my God, are you okay? It's like, see if they react. All right, bone's not sticking out. We're good, you know, but we are so quick to shelter or I feel, and this may sound harsh, but most parents parent out of selfish fucking neediness because of things that they didn't get when they were kids, or things that they're lacking in their own marriage or lacking in their own life. So they try to create that relationship with their kid as a friend or whatever that looks like, as opposed to doing what's for your kid. It's enabling, codependent, and it's toxic as fuck. And if you wonder why your kid's acting out, look in the fucking mirror.
Yeah.
And that's no judgment. There's no shame. Again, we're so busy to put those labels on us. You know, do you know how much shame there was in being fat? I was called fat all the time, you know, and even in recovery, you hear the recovery model, and I just did a post about this. It's relapse is part of recovery. And I said, that's fucking bullshit. You're giving I'm like, would you hire a nutrition coach that said, okay, here's your nutrition plan, but you know what? You're going to fail. So no, you would never fucking hire them. They didn't believe in you. But we're saying, okay, well, as an addict, you're going to fail at some stage. Failure is part of our life. You don't learn unless you fail. But it shouldn't be a narrative that is given to you. Like, you don't have to relapse on anything, you know? And so it's really big for me, the way I speak. I just became an NLP practitioner, and the power of words. You know, my first coach said to me, your life is a manifestation of your thoughts. Yes. And from that day forward, like 12 years ago, I've been obsessed with learning everything I can about the brain and how we think. And I always geek out on my kids, and they're like, oh, Jesus, Mom, just shut the fuck up.
You listen to Jojo Spinoza?
I have his entire trilogy plus some.
So I saw him. Yes. I saw him in the RTA Syndicate when we went out.
That's right. Yeah. Was it Coeur d'Alene? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he's incredible. That
I would die
in person. So his books and his YouTubes and things like that, they're great, but they're nothing compared to actually sitting there and listening to him.
I want that so bad. He's amazing.
Hands down, phenomenal. Yeah.
Oh, his books are spot on. Like they are how to, and if you truly want to change the way you see and view and what lens you are living in, you're going to read his books, because, you know, like I said, we're run off our subconscious. So, you know, we have 80,000 thoughts a day. 70% of those are negative. So think about that from a contextual level. How are you supposed to have a positive life when all you're doing is 90% of those are the same fucking negative thoughts? Yeah. So this is what is going through your head each day. You can't, it's impossible to change anything. Yeah. So, you know, being able to change your subconscious, there's only 3 ways. And one is through theta, because that's when your brain is in that state where it can take in information and then it can become the truth. It's right before you go to bed and right when you wake up out of your sleep. Hypnosis is another way. And then I honestly can't remember the third, but those I know are the 2. And Joe Dispenza, his meditation is all about changing your subconscious and rewiring that. Yeah. And it is imperative. We can't, you know, and people like, we're always looking for a destination. We want the nicer house, the cuter spouse, the younger model, you know, the nicer car, the fucking whatever it is, the better kid. I mean, you name it. We're all looking for an end. And I'm like, you know what? These are all destinations. Life is meant to be lived in the journey and in the now. Yeah. Because destination is a final landing place. My destination is in the ground. I don't focus on that. Yeah. Focus on what I can do now to be a better person, to be of service, and use what I've been through, you know, to connect with amazing people like you who's doing fucking incredible work. You know, just for your listeners, I met this beautiful soul through Apex, but another friend of ours, Catherine Tagg, had made a post, I don't know if you know that, about, oh my gosh, my beautiful friend knew exactly what I needed with her beautiful product line. So she's got an incredible beauty line. I reached out and I said, oh my gosh, I'm so glad we got to connect. I was just thinking, because I want to open a facility for kids that have been sex trafficked or had just come out of rehabs. And I want each kid to have their own beauty basket that's very personal, because most of these kids have lost their identity. And you were like, holy shit, I can't believe that. This is what I do. You know, you do the branding and tattoo removal of victims. So alignment, God, I don't care. It's just this beautiful space. There's so many people that are really out there to do good. You've been hurt. I know that. You've been through some shit. And now all you want to do is give back and help others. And, it's just such a beautiful, that energy is just a beautiful, and like I said, I'm super, super grateful that we got to connect, because obviously on so many levels, and like this conversation is needed, and it's beautiful. And, it's a space that we're not talking about things enough. We don't talk to our kids. So we pass on generational traumas. We parent out of fear, because I don't want my kids to be cocaine addicts, sleeping with everything that moves at 14. Mm-hmm. Guess what? They're not. And guess what? They're not making decisions for their lives based out of my traumas.
Yeah.
And that thing I had to really look at was, why is this a big deal to me? And I had this conversation with my kids, because I got really pissed the other day. I'm like, okay, I could have handled that a little bit differently. Sorry. I'm like, but I don't know why it upset me. I said, I'm really, because I'm always very introspective. Why did I make that choice? I'm like, I think it's because of my raising and my upbringing and my own trauma and my own shit that I have that view of that, not where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And I really hurt my daughter's feelings in this particular space. And I'm like, I am so sorry. And then I heard her out, and it was, I felt, but I didn't hear her. I was coming from my own hurt and my own bullshit. And, as a parent, as a woman, as a person, being able to heal those wounds so I don't then bleed on those that didn't cut me would be really good.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to bring up before we end the podcast is, we have been really, really passionate about sex trafficking. And that's something that you and I have definitely talked a lot about. And I don't think we have enough time to really dive into that today, because I do want to do a podcast just on that alone, to really talk about it, to really open it up. And I think that maybe what we can do is just reschedule another podcast and just dive in deep into that, because I personally really want Sarah to open up and to explain what is going on out there. And I'm really passionate about this. And it's not that I was ever sex trafficked, but for some reason, I don't know what it is, but I feel like God has aligned me with amazing women in this path. And every time I talk about it, I get chills. And it's God speaking to me. It's God telling me that this is my passion. And when I talk about it, I'm passionate because I want this to stop. I want girls to be able to be on their own. And I don't know if it was the fact that I was in bad marriages where I felt that, I was dictated of who I have to be as a female, that has made me passionate to make sure that women themselves can handle and be on their own and take care of themselves. But it's something that is overlooked, that people do not understand. And it's not even women, it's men that it's happening to. And it has grown so much because there's so much fucking money in this for people. And it's asinine that we're letting this shit happen in our own backyard.
First of all, that was beautiful. And one of the things that I really took from that was, you don't have to have gone through that exact thing to have the heart and the passion and calling to help those in need. Like, there is a story in their story that resonates with you, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You have a desire for a good human reason, for integrity purpose, because because of your heart, and in our backyard is actually the organization here that Nita Bell's Ranch, who is this amazing woman. She's written multiple books on trafficking and has been in the space for like 30 years. And I've known her through church for years. I've heard her speak. I actually was going to volunteer, I think it was a couple of years back, and I just didn't follow through. But she's been doing this work. She goes to the Super Bowl. They've created stickers. Just an amazing one. But it's called In Our Backyard because this shit is happening in our backyard. I live in Central Oregon. I have worked with kids that have been trafficked. They have been held in containers. They've been held in warehouses. And I'm like, and they won't talk because their whole family's threatened. Yeah. Like, it is rampant. And between the two of us, we know. And just like you, I wasn't sex trafficked. I was abused on,
but
put in very horrible.
And the thing is that, and that's how they're abused. They're mentally abused to think that they're worth shit. And the thing is
their
that
identity is gone.
Have both had that in all of our relationships, that we understand that and we resonate with that and we're standing up for that. You know, it was the point to where I know my first marriage, I had to get a fucking restraining order. You know, it was batshit crazy. And I can't even imagine what these girls are going through, because what I went through was minute. And
oh yeah.
yeah,
No, but it's not minute. That's the thing, you know, and that's the thing, is how prevalent it really is. I had to get restraining order, stalking order, you know, I mean, all that, but it's what you said is, I came into this space, like I've known Nita for 10, 12 years. And then all of a sudden recently I found out that a gal who I used to work with, another organization, she runs a place called a nonprofit called Guardian Group, which works with help educate police at the ground level. So each of these companies is doing something at different, we can't have one company. Our Underground Railroad, Operation Underground Railroad, is one of the biggest, and they go in and do the physical extraction and help families. There's another gentleman named Steve Stone that runs Barrel Horse Breeders Association, and he's building a refuge in Belize for kids out of sex trafficking. Like, there's so many parts to this, and that's what we were talking about. We're not sure what's going to come of it, but it will happen. And, you know, in this facility that I know is going to happen, like New Heights, like I have the whole thing, this whole business model. It will happen because there's a need for it. It's not about me. It's not about making money. It's about giving these kids a life back, and they have no identity. And that's why I'm like, oh my gosh, I want each kid to have their own basket. They're going to have their own name on a water bottle, because they literally have been stripped of their name, like of everything. And so we know, whether we were held in a container or in an abusive marriage where our identity was stolen, we understand what it's like to feel like nothing, you know, absolute nothing. And feel like I didn't know who the fuck I was when I got divorced. Yeah. You know, I'm like, I dread, like, who am I? It took me a good 5 to 6 years to really step into who I am. Because I had no idea I was under that kind of control either. Yeah. And then restraining orders and stalking orders. How my 17-year-old daughter had to get a stalking order on her father, you know, so, and it just keeps going, and it's so pervasive in this country. And I'm so grateful for you and to connect with you, because you've got connections and I'm meeting people, and between all of us, we're going to make, you know, after MDM too, I met a bunch of real estate people, and I have like all these ideas of how we can now empower them. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to do all this stuff. Like it's cool to have hope in this space. And like we talked about, the recidivism rate for kids, I always say kids because they're all kids to me, that have been through sex trafficking is extremely high, because they don't feel that they get their life back. So, you know, part of the model that I want to create is they're going to learn entrepreneurship. They're going to run their own business. They're going to learn how to, you know, do that. And they don't have to leave. Like, they can go, and we're going to teach them home ownership. We're going to teach them how to empower themselves and not rely on somebody else, and get their identity back. Yeah. It is so true. And like you said, we could both talk about this, but all of a sudden, all these companies, same thing, were coming into my space. Yeah. I'm like, wait, there's another organization. I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. And that's when the facility I've wanted to open forever for youth that just coming out of rehab, because most of the kids shouldn't be going home. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm supposed to do. This needs to be facility, not just for those kids, but for girls, especially, because I work with girls coming out of trafficking. Yeah. It's a place for them to get their, oh my gosh, I get it, you know? And I'm like, that's why all these people are coming into my space. So it's beautiful, you know, stepping into that is amazing.
Well, I want to thank you for everything that you do and who you are. Absolutely. And I really wanted to introduce you and bring you in. And we're going to do another podcast to go in a little bit more into detail of, you know, our outlook and what we want. But everybody, please follow her. She is absolutely an amazing, amazing woman, and a great sister, and an apex sister as well. So
thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And message me, anybody, reach out. Like, I will connect with you and get you the resources if you need help, or if you know somebody. This is what I do. Like, this gives me the biggest joy in the world. So just reach out.
Thank you. And thank you for everything you do. And again, you guys, please rate and review. Please share this. Share this on Sarah's when it goes live. Share it with me. We'll keep reposting. With that, thank you guys, and have an amazing week. Oh, before I end it, I always forget. WTF is beauty to you?
I love that. Beauty is a verb, and beauty is intrinsic. Beauty is fluid. Beauty is a state of being that is constantly growing and changing. There's beauty in pain. There is beauty in your past. There's beauty in tragedy. There is beauty everywhere you look. And more importantly, it comes from in here. And your trauma and your situation is a beautiful hope for other people. It is a verb. It comes out and it then goes on to other people and allows them to step into their beauty.
Amen. I love it. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys. Thanks for turning in this week. I hope that you thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and I hope you're feeling stronger mentally and physically and ready to kick some ass. As we navigate new society norms, business and beauty breakthroughs, make sure to always ask yourself, what the fuck is beauty to me? And know that's all that really matters. If you love this content today, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Follow me and get more info on how to work with me at jencarrasco.com. You can also find me on all of your favorite social media platforms. Now just remember, stay mentally tough.